Accepted.
All right, guys, I'm so pleased that you are here. And I actually like this room and this setup because it means that we can be closer together despite the beamer who is lighting in front of my eyes. But we can have the open conversation. I would like to be open for you. My name is Tomasz. We have 50 minutes today to run the conversation, run the presentation. Before we start, though, I have one technical question. Not sure to whom. That's timer is not going. Any technical person at the room? Okay, so I will use my timer then to make sure that you will be on time for the next talk. All right, set up 50 minutes. Okay. So we are here today to talk about autonomy. And obviously autonomy, how we can improve our autonomy and how we can improve our software. So the question I have for you is that if you feel autonomous at work. Sorry? Kind of. Like it? Well. We don't have an architect, so we are autonomous. Yes, yes. In the technical way, definitely, you are autonomous. Any other people that experience autonomy? Okay. Now I see clock running, but I don't see the presentation. But anyhow, so I like it that no architect means autonomy, definitely. Why we are talking about autonomy? We are talking about autonomy because this is the basic human need, one of the basic human needs. I still don't have the presentation. Give me just 1 second. Any technical person on this from the Devoxx? Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah. So why do we need autonomy? Ryan and Detchi, those two scientists, defined, I think, in 1985, they defined the theory, self-determination theory, and this theory says that we, in order to feel fulfilled and in order to exist in this world and have the motivation to be here, we need to have 3 factors. One factor is relatedness, so we need to connect with each other, what we actually do today in the conference. The other factor is about competence, so we need to feel competent in order to drive the world forward. And the last but not least, and that's the topic for today, is autonomy. So now, I would like to come back to this architect topic. That autonomy actually has 4 dimensions. It doesn't have just one dimension, we are autonomous or not autonomous, but it is a 4 dimensions autonomy. So one is time, that we can be autonomous in the time space. That basically we decide when we are doing stuff. The other aspect is with whom, so people, so with whom we do stuff, we do our features. The third one is about technology, so as you said technology, and the fourth one is about, let me check, about the task itself. Yeah, so if we have the task and we could decide which task you would like to do when. So knowing that, considering those 4 items, I would like to ask one more time the question that I asked in the beginning. Who of you feel that you have at least one of this aspect of the autonomy? So task, you can decide whatever you would like to do in this sprint. Time, you can decide that this particular feature will be postponed to the next sprint because of something. People, you can decide in which team you will be working in. And the technology, right? Why I'm talking about that? I'm talking about that because we tend to focus on just technology. So architect stuff. If we don't have technology in place. Oh, thank you very much, Grzesiek. Oh, always works. Yeah, it's like IT. Thank you, Grzesiek. Appreciate it. All right. So those 4 dimensions: when, what, with, who, and how. And we tend to focus, as I said, on how, because that's the most crucial part in our work. And actually, I found research, I think from the before pandemic. The case was for 200,000 people, and the researchers from the Birmingham University, they said that IT automation industry is the most autonomous industry ever. And I asked to myself, okay, but how it's possible if we are always complaining about no autonomy in the technical teams, in the software development? And the answer is basically because of those 4 dimensions. The other interesting aspect that I found is about the size of the company. So actually, size matters, I would say, because they said that on the left-hand side, you have the big corporations like 5,000 up to 10,000 people in the company, and just 34% said that they feel autonomous at work. On the other side, you have pretty much small startups from 0 to 100 almost, and most of the people, actually almost 80% of the people, said that they feel autonomous at work. So that's interesting for me. And do you know why is that? Any ideas? Any ideas? No? Smaller projects? Younger projects? Uh-huh. Less procedures. I like it. Like it. Exactly. Exactly. Because small projects and quick projects, quick time to market, exactly. Responsibility to deliver this quick time. I like it. So definitely it is all about that, and it is all about this kind of set of the numbers. This sequence can be called social Fibonacci sequence, but that's basically the Dunbar's number. Any of you have heard about Dunbar's number? So basically that's the number in the middle, 150, means that we can connect with 150 people with a high quality. So basically we are not able to connect with everyone, so that's why if we have huge corporations, we are not connected to every single person in the company, and that's why the projects are bigger. The procedures are more complicated, because if people are not connected, there should be something that connect them, right? Then that's why responsibility is not sometimes given to the developers because of a lot of procedures. So Dunbar defined actually 4 main numbers. So the 5 people is the group that you have the closest connection with. So basically, your family, your friends. You spend, he said, you spend 40% of your social time with them. Then you have the 15 people. That's a bigger group, but still you are able to stay connected with them, and you spend additional 20% of your social time with them. For 50 people, you still are able to have the conversation with them, have the meaningful conversation, knows what is going on in their areas, but you don't, for example, remember what's going on in their private lives. So that's why it's hard for you to connect with them. And 150 people, he called it tribe. Consciously or subconsciously, the tribes are in the model of Spotify. So that's the bigger group that you can have the connection with. And later on, the bigger group is becoming, you are not able to connect with them anyhow, just say hey, not even remember, maybe recognize some faces. But why I tell you about that and how it's connected with autonomy. We see that from this 5 people to 1,500 people, the communication is going down. That's because of the procedures, because procedures are because of that. That communication is going down, people are not talking to each other anymore, so there should be something to replace this communication. But if people are not talking to each other, they are lacking trust as well. So that's why I will talk about it later, but that's why one team doesn't trust the other team because they don't feel connected, that they can't rely on each other. They feel like can't rely on each other. So if the communication is going down, trust is going down, and the autonomy obviously is going down. So what to do to reverse it, to have autonomy going up? Basically, we need to think also about our software design. How autonomy is connected with our software design and how we can improve our software design by introducing more autonomous teams. The answer is given by this guy, Mel Conway. Any one of you heard about Conway? Conway, one person. Thanks. Yeah, so I found his Twitter profile, and I'm impressed what he's doing. This guy is basically the computer scientist, programmer, hacker, and he runs 2 startups. And what he said this one, that organizations are constructed to produce designs which are copied of the communication structures in this organization. So basically all our fancy stuff, architectural stuff, technology stack that we have and so on is actually limited by so simple thing like communication. How it's possible? The answer is pretty simple. Do you guys remember the debate, the huge debate we had a couple of years ago about component teams versus features teams? Any of you remember that? No. Yes, I see some nodding. So basically, component team is horizontal, right? We have UI guys, we have backend guys, we have database guys. And why we have such structure? The answer is simple, the competence. People who have the competence in backend grouped in one corner, let's say, of the room. People who have the competence in the database grouped in another corner. And they decided, okay, I know my folks, I know that they are competent, I trust them, I can communicate with them. We will develop the component and we'll give it to someone else. We don't even sometimes know who we are giving to. And the same with the backend and with the UI. The owners of the company, CTOs, architects, and people who thinks about the structure of the company, they talk to themselves that it is difficult to have the components. Maybe we need to shuffle a little bit and have the feature teams. So what they did, they produced the feature teams, and they said to people, okay, people for the feature one, for the logging, for example, to the social channel, will be grouped in one team. And people are responsible for authorization will be grouped in another team, with the UI, backend, and database capabilities. Makes sense, right? But the same thing happened. So people from the authenticity team, feature, they trusted each other, and they developed the feature. And they pass it or try to connect via REST API, for example, with other team. So this is the same mechanism. And on top of that, we have this huge ecosystem of tools. Do you like using new tools and implementing new ones? Yes, no, yes, I see. You like it? You like it? Yes. So. There are a lot of different opinions, but definitely we have a lot of options to implement those kind of features in our projects and those kind of tools in our projects. So on top of the organization, we have tooling system. So it's complicated even more. So how to simplify that? How to improve the design based on such a silly, let's say, not silly, but not tangible thing like a communication. Coming back to this guy, he knows what to do. We need to improve the communication and trust. And we have the answer, team topologies, by Matthew Skeleton. He said, or he and his co-worker, they said that we will then design the organization, we will figure out how people can work together in the smaller groups, but and in the competent group, and they can show each other that we are competent, you can rely on us. So they address it, this trust and communication issue inside the company by designing special teams. And those teams, there are a lot of different type of the teams and work they do, but those teams basically provide the knowledge and expertise. So then, for example, SRE team, development teams can trust SRE teams, or streamline aligned teams can focus on those streams, and people can rely on them, that they will deliver. So that's the idea, to figure out the communication inside the company. And there is another idea for that's just an example, right, of the design, but this is for figuring out trust and communication outside of the company. So as simple as it is, I will not go into the details, but as simple as it is, we have some system outside of our company that we need to write, or the system, manual system that we need to automate, for example. So we need to know what's going on inside the system. But the clients sometimes don't want to tell us what's going inside. They can say, oh yeah, you know, we have such complicated process. And we tend to ask questions, why? How to simplify that? And there are some items like communicational aspects that, oh yeah, our payment department is so busy and they are not delivering anything, so we decided to implement our payment method instead, for example. So to figure out all the flow outside of the organization that we are delivering software to, there are ideas such like domain-driven design. So this is all about trust. So basically, autonomy means that people need to trust you in order to rely on your decisions and empower you to make decisions. And I would like to ensure you that every CTO and CEO I spoke with, they all would like to have, they're eager to have autonomous people in the company. What they are lacking is that they are not able to trust those guys in the big corporations because they don't know them and there is no relationship established between them. So if they invest $1 million, for example, there's a decision. Should I invest and forget and come back after a few sprints, let's say, or should I give them procedure that I will be sure that my $1 million is well spent? So this is this type of conversation. And today I would like to give you the opportunity to understand the trust more. Because for me it was the fuzzy word. I was an engineer, so I wanted to describe trust somehow in a tangible way. And what I found out is that we observe the world around us, and based on observation we make some actions. For example, we observe, you observe me, and based on observing, you can trust me that I will tell you good stuff or not trust and leave, right? But this is not so simple. So we observe the world, and then we select, we are selective. So we select some data from the reality. We don't observe the whole world. We add our personal context, personal or cultural context. Those are all the cultural biases that we can have, and personal biases as well. So that's challenging. We make assumptions. For example, if someone is tall, we make assumptions that tall people do this and that, right? Or if someone is not tall, we can have also some assumptions. So that's other bias. We draw conclusions. So based on data, based on our assumptions, we draw conclusions, and then we take the actions if we will trust the person or not. Even subconsciously, we don't track it anyhow. So that's why trust is important. And trust, when I dig into the details, it's a fairly simple thing. So there are two aspects of trust, how to build trust: cognitive aspect of trust and emotional aspect of trust. Cognitive aspect of trust is transmitted through thinking. So basically all our knowledge, all our skills, and all our competence. So when I'm talking about CTO would like to trust developers, he or she needs to know that you have skills, expertise, and knowledge, and you deliver results proactively to them. So that's cognitive aspect. And there's an emotional aspect transmitted through feelings. So this is more fuzzy, but still important, more human being aspect. That people, if you look on other people, your brain is searching for intentions. What intention this person has in terms of relationship with me, for example. Brain seeks openness. If the person is open to me and speak to me openly, and if I, at the end, can trust this person. So if this person is honest. And this means being in integrity. So your actions follow your words. You behave as you say you behave. So this is about competence and character. Two main things. If you would like to have just one thing to remember from this talk, this is the slide, right? That the trust is competence and the character. Your knowledge and your attitude, character. Competence is connected with cognitive intelligence. I think I don't need to talk about that because we are in IT industry. And cognitive intelligence is basically all about analysis, logic, analyzing data, and having our language. Our language, like a technical language, like programming language, Java, Scala, and so on, but also like technical language, that we speak the language that if you will speak with your uncle, for example, she may not understand. And there is another aspect that I mentioned, this cognitive aspect, not cognitive but emotional. This is connected with emotional intelligence. And what's emotional intelligence? This is easy to define, hard to follow. So we need to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions. So if we know that we are stressed, for example, we can tell the person we speak to, hey, you know, I feel stressed. It's not about our relationships. I'm just stressed today. Not to worry about my, I don't know, posture or mood, or that I'm not responding to your questions. So we then know the state we are. People can trust us because we can openly tell about this. We need to be brave to tell about this, but we at least can control it somehow. But we need to recognize, understand, and manage emotions of others. If we are people leaders, or we don't need to be people leaders, if we work with the technology people, we need to also understand if the person I speak to is, for example, afraid of implementing new technology, and actually he or she doesn't have any point against, for example, changing from Java to Scala, but the person is just afraid. And if we understand that, we can openly ask, hey, I see that something is going on in this conversation. Are you afraid of talking about Scala? Maybe I can explain you something if you don't understand. You know, this type of stuff, if we will realize and we tell openly, the stress will go down. So basically, we need to embrace our emotions. We started from autonomy through design, through the organization structure, and we end up with emotions. How is that? To unlock autonomy, we need to be open and honest. As I said, we need to deliver results, and we need to set your expectations. When I'm talking about setting our expectations, I'm talking about those four dimensions of autonomy. That if that's a different conversation, we will tell our CTO, hey, I don't have autonomy, give it to me. Why is that? Or if we go to him or her and say, hey, you know, I have the autonomy in the time because I provide estimation, I provide a plan for the sprints. I have the autonomy in features I'm delivering, but I would like to also, I need to deliver good software. I need more autonomy as well in this, for example, tooling part to decide if we will use Docker or not, right? So that's the different conversation. And the CTOs, they are data-driven people, so they are looking for the facts. So if you will give them just one fact, hey, I don't have the autonomy, give it to me, they will say no, potentially, right? But if you will explain them, I have this, I have that, I see the potential in that. If you give it to me, I will deliver result. That's a different conversation that you can have with your CTO. I would like to show you today the person, Brené Brown. Any of you have heard about the Brené Brown? Not yet, so today is the day that you can hear. Brené Brown is basically, she's a researcher and a psychologist from US. She talks a lot, she does the research, and she talks a lot about various different things like courage, like shame, like being open and vulnerable, and what she said as well about trust, which I like very much, that this trust is not being built in the big sweeping moments. It's built in the tiny moments every day. So we know how trust is, the structure of the trust, we know. And now we need to move it to our lives. And this is not just one conversation we'll have with our CTO, but we need to have sweepy moments with them, frequent moments, short but frequent, to build trust one by one. Let's imagine the situation that this is our colleague or CTO, and we are here, or vice versa. The CTO is here and we are here. And CTO is looking on us, right? We have the conversation, and brain of this person subconsciously searching the aspect I mentioned before. They are searching in us those aspects and decide if they would like to trust. So we have one conversation, second conversation, third one. We start working more frequently, and finally, our brains decide that we can trust each other and we can have great working relationships, which means that we can have the autonomy from the other person because he or she trusts us. Why I'm doing that? Let's switch for a moment for the technical aspect, like pair programming. If we pair program, do you like pair programming, or do you do pair programming? Any of you? Yeah, I see nodding. Is it challenging or difficult? Is it easy or difficult? Easy. I like it. Easy. For some people, though, it's challenging because you do the same work at the same time with the two people. I'm not talking about clients who need to pay for that, and the questions that I was getting, hey, Tomasz, why is that? Two people developing one feature? Come on, are you crazy? We pay for it? So I had a lot of conversation like this. I need to explain why, about the quality and so on and so forth. But besides that, there's also one trait that we can have. That's the fear of being assessed. So you sit with your colleague, and this colleague looks on your code, and vice versa, you look on the code. And there are a lot of different biases that you can get into. the obvious one, junior developer versus senior developer. Junior can have the thoughts in his or her mind, oh, I'm not good enough, my code is bad, the senior guy will do that better, I need to write it, but this guy is looking at me, oh my gosh. Yeah? But it can be the other way around. Senior guy can look on the code and say, oh, this junior guy develops so well that I can't improve anything, but I'm the senior guy, right? So if this guy will tell my manager, I'm the senior one, but I'm not improving code in the pair programming, what I will gonna do? There are a lot of different situations like this that our brain is activated during the pair programming, that we need to keep our, it's very difficult for our brain to keep the focus on just pair programming, because we can have this saboteur in our mind. Similar thing with the code review, but just asynchronous, right? Our code needs to be assessed by someone, but do they assess the code or do they assess the author? If my colleagues will say my code is bad, it means my code is bad, or they don't like me anymore, right? I saw a lot of different conversation via pull requests, for example, about code, that after 1 week of commenting and 100 of comments, people actually got used to into the conflict, real conflict, because of something, because they didn't know the intention of the author. So we need to be vulnerable, Brené Brown says. But what's the vulnerability? I found a definition in the internet about the system vulnerability, that this is a flaw or weakness in computer system which could be exploited to validate this system. Right? And we know we have some roles, some vulnerability engineers as well, so we know this kind of world from our work. But Brené Brown talks about human vulnerability. And human vulnerability, that's the connection with the emotions. So this is willingness to show our emotions and show as we truly are, to be seen by others. And of course, if we will tell someone that, you know, I'm stressed about my code because I don't feel that this code is good enough, obviously that's the courage that we will have to put it in front of the person, and this person can appreciate that and say, oh, I can help you with that, or oh, actually you are not right, the code is pretty good. But they also can volatile us. So that's why we call it vulnerability. But I think, and Brené proves that it is worth to be vulnerable, to show our weaknesses as well in front of people, because they can trust us. They feel that we are open and honest with them, even with our true selves, with the most difficult part of ourselves. For example, my code is not so shiny, right? So they can trust us. And we are coming back to the Dunbar's number, which is 150. So all the things that I mentioned to you about building relationships, about trust, about being vulnerable, about this cognitive aspect, showing that we deliver the results and showing that we are open and honest, we then need to filter via those groups. So obviously I assume that for those 5 people we tend to, show our vulnerability, but in the groups, in the total number of 150 people, we need to identify the people who can support our autonomy, and then build trust with them, and then prove that we deliver results. So coming back to the end slowly, we know why we need autonomy. We know the sub-ingredients of autonomy, and then we just need to be brave enough to set it up. So be open and honest, as I said before, deliver results, define your Dunbar's number, and be proactive to those guys in smaller groups. Make sure that CTO or some people who are decision makers about the technology are inside those small cycles, that you will be able to show them that you deliver, and they will be able to trust you, and then how they can give you autonomy. And at the end, set your expectations, because this is very frustrating when we live our lives, we spend a lot of time at work, and we feel exhausted because we don't have the autonomy. Actually, think about those 4 dimensions that I mentioned at the beginning, and appreciate if you have at least 1 or 2 dimensions of the autonomy. At the end, I would like to leave you with this quotation from Simon Sinek, that the team is not a group of people working together, but the team is a group of people that trust each other. And I would like to add on top of that and are autonomous. So thank you very much. We still have some time, I think 10 or 15 minutes to go. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. And if not, you can reach out to me on the Grand Paribus. There is.
Yeah, so like in my team, we have the opposite of what you discussed. We have autonomy with people and tooling, but we don't have autonomy with time and features. And what we noticed is that we are delivering results, and we are open and honest, and we get full trust from the top. What happens is, as we deliver more and more, there is less autonomy for features and time because they think we can do magic. And that's the dilemma we have, basically. And I don't know how to get the other part.
Yeah, that's this part is challenging because this is basically connected with the money, right? So if they see that you deliver, they may think, okay, they can deliver more, and we will earn more money in the company. What I would advise is to show the quality, because if you're getting more and more features and the time is really constrained, the quality is going down, I guess.
It goes back to the opening keynote. We're doing a lot of hacks.
Exactly. And show also that, talking about the keynote, show also technical debt, right? That, yes, guys, we deliver a lot, the company earns a lot, but the quality is going down, we produce more technical debt, and someone needs to pay for that at the end, right? And you will be lucky if we are the team who will be fixing that.
Yeah, so for us, the decision makers is the PM for the features and time.
Yeah, that's definitely challenging. Thanks for asking. Anything else I can help? Yep.
So what if you have already a team that is posited in such components like UI, backend, database, and you are in such a stage when development is ongoing, it's too late to build this trust. And how can you manage such a team? How can you bring them together, like with the trust, with the autonomy?
Yeah, I saw the meme in the internet that everything we do, changes we do in the organization, is like changes that are being done on the plane which is flying, right? So plane was flying, and everyone would like to fix something, but it's not possible to fix because the plane is flying. So what I would like to advise is to stop for a moment, do the retrospective. So convince your decision makers that you need to have 2 days for retrospections, for the workshops maybe with external coach or someone who will make sure that you will list all the pain points and all the drawbacks or the technical debt or the challenges that you have because of the setup of the organization. And then if decision makers will see, okay, they think, because they retrospect, so they think, they have idea, and they see the challenges we have, most likely they will say, okay, I trust you that you will change the organization. I feel like I didn't give you the exact answer, right, about what to do with this UI stuff.
Actually, I think there might be lack of leadership in such a team. If they're like being apart, they don't trust each other, so maybe they lack a good leader.
That's important point. That the good leader, that's the job of the good leader. But sometimes good leaders also they don't have the autonomy, right? And it's very hard if you have boundaries around your team that you can't do anything. This leader is basically not possible to do anything. What I will advise also is to show it openly to the decision makers, not just the leaders, but to the owners of the company, or that depend on the scale of the company, to tell them that, hey, we are component teams, for example, we would like to try PA features teams. Could you give us this autonomy to shuffle? Thanks. All right, so I think that no more questions. If you would like to speak to me, I'm on the Grand Prix booth. And thank you very much for today. Have fun. Cheers. Bye-bye.